Surfing is a very unique sport in the sense that it takes place in a constantly changing environment, which is the ocean. So it really helps to be familiar with your equipment first before you enter the ocean. The more you know, the better off you're gonna be. So we're gonna be focusing on all the surf equipment you're gonna need for your Learn to Surf journey. Let's start with the different parts of the board. So the front of the board here we call the nose, and the end of the board we call the tail. How do we distinguish between the nose and the tail? Well, the tail has these fin plugs here where the fins attach to on the bottom side, okay? So wherever the fins are, that's always the rear or the tail of the board. Okay, other parts of the board here, the sides of the board, both here and here, we call the rails, okay? Back rails and front rails. And then on this particular board, we have a handle right in the middle. That just helps you pick up the board and carry it, all right? The top side of the board, which I'm displaying to you, is called the deck. And then finally, all the way at the end here, we have our leash plug and the leash string. This is where eventually you're gonna attach your ankle leash, which goes around your ankle and keeps your board attached to you. Here on the bottom side of the board, let's start with our fin boxes, which are empty currently. I have our fins in my hand right here. So whenever you're plugging your fin into the fin box, you always want to make sure that the pointed end of the fin is facing towards the back, just like this, okay? So if you're tasked with putting your own fins in your surfboard, this is always how the fins are gonna face, right? So with the pointy end towards the tail. Also on the bottom side of the surfboard, we have these numbers here. The first number is the length, second number is the width, and the third number is the thickness. Those three numbers together give you your volume, okay? I want you to pay attention to this first number here, which for our surfboard, this surfboard that I have in front of me, is 8 feet and 4 inches. As a beginner, you're gonna wanna start with a bigger board, somewhere between 8 and 9 feet. The reason for that is because bigger boards have a higher volume and make it easier for you to paddle, catch waves, and eventually stand to your feet. This board I have in front of me is referred to as a soft top, and that's because the deck is made of a padded foam material. You always want to use a soft top when you're learning how to surf because you're probably going to be falling a lot. So if you fall on top of the board or you get hit by the board, it's not going to hurt quite as bad as a hard top board. The other thing that I have here are these silicone fins. If you'll notice, they're quite flexible. So if the fins hit you, they're not gonna cut you. And also if you run your board into the sand, it's not gonna break these fins off. So the other piece of equipment you wanna be familiar with other than your surfboard is the surf leash. Like I said earlier, you're gonna probably be falling a lot as a beginner, and the leash just helps keep you attached to your board so that you don't have to swim after it every time you have a wipeout. So let's talk about the different parts of the leash. Okay, here at one end, this is the end that you're going to eventually attach to the leash plug on your surfboard, okay? Here we have our swivel. Both ends of the leash have a swivel on it so that you don't get tangled in your leg rope as you're surfing, okay? This is our leash or our leg rope. We have another swivel here at the end, right, to prevent us from getting entangled. And then finally, we have our ankle strap, which will eventually go around your back ankle, okay? So now that I've attached my ankle strap, let's attach the leash to the board. So what you want to do here is completely unvelcro this end. There's 3 little sections. You want to find the section with no Velcro on it, okay? So you take your string here at the end, you're gonna loop this through and find that section with no Velcro, and then it's just a 1, 2, 3. Check and make sure your leash is on there nice and tight. Sometimes if your string here is too long or too short, that rail saver won't actually hit the rail of the surfboard. You definitely don't want this cord here hitting the rail because it can dig in and create a little cut on the edge of the board. So make sure that rail saver is always hitting the rail. So now that you have your leash attached to your surfboard, let's talk about how to pick up and carry the board. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you coil up your ankle leash so that you don't trip on it. You never want to drag your leash. All right, then you can take a step forward and kneel down right next to this center handle. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to have the board on my right side. Okay, I'll flip the board up on its rail, grab this handle here, and then stand to my feet. Whenever you're carrying your surfboard, it should always look like this. The board should be right up against your side, and you're either grabbing the handle if your board has a handle, or the board is tucked right up under your armpit like this. If this is not accessible to you, you can also flip the board up on its rails and place that rail right in your love handle right here and carry the board like so. Okay? I definitely don't want to see you carry the board on top of your head. I also don't want you to drag your board behind you, and always holding onto the leash as well. We're not dragging the leash behind us either. Other equipment that you might want for surfing other than your board and your leash: if you're in an area that is particularly hot and sunny, you might want to wear a rash guard. Definitely want to bring some sunscreen, water bottle to stay hydrated, maybe even a surf hat to protect your face from getting burnt. One other thing that you might want to bring with you is surf wax. You don't really need to wax a soft top board because it has this nice grippy deck. But if you're using a hard top board, the deck is gonna get very slippery when it's wet, so you definitely wanna have some wax to place on the deck for added grip. Here at Bodhi Surf and Yoga, we believe that all surfers should be environmentalists and take care of the ocean, which gives us so much, right? So we try and reduce our environmental impact by supporting eco-friendly brands. The surfboard I have in front of me is an NSP Eco board, which means that it either uses upcycled or recycled materials. The ankle leash is made by Wave Tribe that makes these leashes out of plastic water bottles. And the cool thing about Wave Tribe is if you break the leash, which often happens in surfing, they'll replace the leash for you. Okay, next we have wax by Stay Covered, which uses organic biodegradable materials. They don't use any petroleum products in their surf wax, non-toxic. Next we have All Good Sunscreen. All Good is a B Corp and 1% for the Planet member. They don't use any toxic materials in their sunscreen. It's all minerals. It's all good. And then finally, instead of bringing a bunch of plastic water bottles with you every time you go surf, all you need to do is buy a stainless steel reusable bottle. This one I have in front of me is made by Clean Canteen, which is also a B Corp and 1% for the Planet member. It's a family-owned business. Awesome reusable water bottle. All you need to buy is one. Hope you enjoyed this first episode in our Learn to Surf series by Bodhi Surf and Yoga. Stay tuned. If you did like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. We'll be releasing a bunch more videos just like this one in the near future. Thanks.